Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu got a tremendous reception in Congress yesterday. He told a joint session of Congress that Israel cannot retreat to its pre-1967 borders, or, and this is important, he will not divide Jerusalem with the Palestinians.
Congress showed its support for Netanyahu with more than 24 standing ovations. Eric Stakelbeck has the story from Washington.
At a time when Israel is facing grave threats from Iran and its terrorist proxies, not to mention constant diplomatic pressure, the thunderous applause was surely welcome. Although he's had public differences with President Obama, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu received nothing but love from a joint session of Congress yesterday, including no less than 29 standing ovations. And Netanyahu was sticking to his guns. He said a return to Israel's pre-1967 borders, as President Obama has advocated, will not happen.
Israel will not return to the indefensible boundaries of 1967.
Among the main themes in the Prime Minister's speech, no return to the 1967 lines, no so-called right of return for Palestinian refugees, and absolutely no division of the city of Jerusalem. Netanyahu did say he was willing to make, quote, painful compromises to achieve peace, but only if the Palestinians would recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. He also called on Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to tear up his recent unity deal with the terrorist group Hamas, and he challenged America to stand firm against Iran's nuclear weapons program.
The more Iran believes that all options are on the table, the less the chance of confrontation. And this is why I ask you to continue to send an unequivocal message that America will never permit Iran to develop nuclear weapons.
He added that Israel reserves the right to self-defense. Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Well, you kind of wish he had been able to start that address with my fellow Americans. But anyway, in the aftermath of this, and in the aftermath of the president's speech on Thursday calling for Israel to voluntarily go back to the 67 borders as the starting point for negotiations, well, now Senate Democrats are getting ready to introduce a bill to actually rebuke a sitting president on his foreign policy. Here's what Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid had to say. And he says on Monday, the place where negotiating will happen must be at the negotiating table and nowhere else. Those negotiations will not happen, and their terms will not be set through speeches or in the streets or in the media. No one should set premature parameters about borders. Now, it's so unusual for a Senate majority leader of the same party as the sitting president to come out and say, you can't negotiate in the media, you can't negotiate in speeches, you've got to do it at the negotiating table. And we need to have, first and foremost, an understanding of that. And then I would urge this administration to get to an understanding of there will be no peace as long as the Palestinians will not recognize Israel's right to exist. I don't care how much land you barter away. If the Palestinians still believe Israel needs to be driven into the sea, there will be no peace. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, another line of tornadoes and powerful thunderstorms moved through the central states Tuesday. More than 35 tornadoes reportedly touched down from Colorado to Virginia. At least 8 people died in Oklahoma, some of them along a busy highway when a tornado touched down, blowing cars off the road. Many tried to ride out the storms in their homes.
The lights went out and we started praying out loud and screaming, and you could hear the roar, the vibration of the tub, the house, the popping, the air sucking out of your ears, and then it was gone.
The latest storms have brought the year's tornado total up to approximately 1,000. Sunday's tornado in Joplin, Missouri proved to be the deadliest in more than 60 years. At least 124 people lost their lives there. Now the survivors have an overwhelming task of rebuilding their homes, their town, and their lives. CBN's Chuck Holton is in Joplin and reports on how Christian ministries are helping them.
The long process of cleaning up is underway in Joplin, which saw unprecedented damage from what's being called one of the 10 worst tornadoes in recorded history. Residents returned to their homes, taking advantage of a break in the weather to comb through the wreckage of their neighborhoods in search of anything they could save. And with over 1,000 people still unaccounted for, many here look at the devastation and say their survival was nothing short of a miracle. Deneva Trombley and her family hid in their kitchen when they heard the tornado approaching.
Mom was up against the stove, Gina was in this corner, and I was in this corner.
Her 89-year-old mother was clutching the family dog and praying.
I didn't think I could talk that fast as I was when I was sitting there praying, sitting in the middle of the floor, praying, help us, watch over us.
The 3 women who lived in this house survived without a scratch. Since then, friends, neighbors, and even strangers have been stopping by to help them begin the cleanup. And it's something that's happening all over town. Volunteers are coming out of the woodwork, so many that aid organizations are even having to turn them away. But some of those volunteers wouldn't take no for an answer.
My husband and I wanted to do something, and we didn't know what to do, so we went to Walmart last night, woke up this morning and boiled 800 hot dogs, I think it was. So we're just here doing what we can, whatever to help.
Area churches are also stepping up in a big way. This Christian Youth Center partnered with CBN's Operation Blessing to collect and distribute thousands of pounds of food, clothing, and other necessities. Other churches around town are reaching out to those in need as well. And with thousands of people left homeless by the storm, the Christian community in Joplin will need all the help they can get for a long time to come. Chuck Holton, CBN News, Joplin, Missouri.
Wow, hard to fathom that kind of destruction. And Gordon, we have to keep in mind that they're conducting this rescue and recovery effort under the threat of more thunderstorms and tornadoes.
The series of tornadoes that this nation has suffered is from, in my experience, I've never had anything like this, what's happening. And we didn't have a tornado locally here, but we had what's called a microburst that closed schools, knocked down trees, people had broken limbs. The weather systems, it just seems like what is going on in the world today. But thanks to people like you, Christians are able to reach out. When you see the church come together and say, we want to make a difference. When disasters strike, we want to strike back. We want to show that we can still love each other. It's the church that can bring communities together, bring relief together. And Operation Blessing, if you're a member of the 700 Club, Operation Blessing is in Joplin in your name. With thousands of pounds of food and emergency supplies for people in need. If you want to be a part of everything we're doing, all you have to do is join the 700 Club. A portion of every gift goes into the work of Operation Blessing. We feed 3 million Americans every single month. We provide disaster relief right here at home and around the world. And if you want to be a part of it, just call and say, I want to join the 700 Club. Numbers on your screen, 1-800-759-0700. Terry?
Well, up next, he was out of work, out of cash, and deep in the red. How one man went from rock bottom to the job of a lifetime. That's next.
Is there life after death?
And I began to rise out of my body up into that room.
Are heaven and hell real places?
I can see fields, crystal clear river, trees along both sides.
What determines where I go when I die?
I knew that the first person I saw was Jesus.
Discover the answers to life's most important questions in the 700 Club's Life Beyond the Grave. Real stories from the 700 Club. Available now.
Well, today, Tony Richardson is working his dream job. But not long ago, he was out of work, deep in debt, and about to lose his car.
Tony Richardson made a decent living as an accountant working around the country. He also invested in real estate, which stretched his income.
I used to live in Texas, and when I lived in Texas, I had the house here in Tennessee, and I was working in Arkansas. I was always just coming up short. I was having good jobs, but things weren't going well.
He tried to sell the properties, but with the slump in the housing market, there were no buyers. He maxed out his credit cards and fell behind on his truck payments. The bank threatened to repossess.
It's easy to go and get into situations to where you just spend more than what you have. You spend more than what you're making.
Tony started going to a church that taught on the importance of tithing.
And I realized that I couldn't make it if I wasn't tithing. And when I tithed, the place that I was trying to sell in Texas had sold. I was able to pay my truck off. So when I tithed, it just kind of put me right back where I needed to be.
Tony was able to pay off a significant amount of debt. Around the same time, the demand for his accounting services started to increase. Within 2 years, Tony's income jumped from $30,000 to 6 figures.
And it was an exciting feeling to be able to tithe and give back to God and be blessed. God he just prospered me. He prospered me physically. He prospered me financially. He prospered me materially. It was just a whole person.
So when Tony landed a lucrative consulting job with a large corporation, he decided to give more to God. He called the 700 Club and made a pledge. That same day, the company asked him to falsify a report. He refused. 2 days later,
they came through and said, "We don't really need you working here anymore."
Even though he was now without a job, Tony wanted to honor the pledge he had just made to CBN.
It was a good time to just say, hey, I'm not going to pay it. I can't really afford to. But I knew that God has just proved himself faithful over and over again.
In just a few days, Tony got a call from a friend he hadn't talked to in 20 years. He offered him a job. Each month, he works 2 weeks in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. The other 2 weeks, he takes off and goes back home to Tennessee.
People were just like, wow, how did that happen? What happened? And it was just like, it was just God. It was just God, because God could trust me. And when God can trust you, he will just put you in situations to where, you will just be able to prosper. People know that, man, it can only be God.
It can only be God, because you begin to prosper. Now, here's Tony. You're working at a job. You've got one. You've got income. And they ask you to do something that you know is wrong. And you say, I can't do that. I can't do that kind of thing. And then you suffer the consequences of it. You get fired. Well, then what happens to you? Do you say, boy, there's just no profit in doing good? Well, here's a wonderful psalm for you. It's Psalm 37. There's a lot of keys to prosperity in just this one psalm, but here's one. It's verses 3 through 4. Trust in the Lord and do good. So that's what Tony did. He trusted in God and he did good. He didn't do the bad thing they asked him to do. He did good. Dwell in the land and feed on his faithfulness. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Now, after this, after he stood firm for his principles, Tony then got what anyone would call a dream job, where 2 weeks out of every month you're down in the Caribbean, and you're getting paid for it. So what can happen with you? What can happen with you if you say, I just want to learn to do it and do it God's way? Not my way, but God's way. I want to live with integrity. I want to trust in him. I want to do good. And part of doing good is what Tony did, which is tithing. Now, if I can get a drum roll to encourage you, some existing CBN partners, just like Tony, say we want to challenge others to give. Yes, times are difficult, times are tough, but that's the time to trust in the Lord and do good. And for the next 30 minutes, they want to challenge you, and they'll match you every gift you make. They'll match you dollar for dollar up to $125,000. Let's pray. Lord, we just ask for blessing for partners. We just ask for those who have made it possible to issue this challenge, that as they trust in you, as they do good, they will then feed on your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. They will dwell securely and you will give them the desires of their heart. For those watching right now, just speak to them, encourage them. Let them know your peace, for we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
You heard it, $125,000 challenge. That means your gifts get matched for the next 29 minutes and 53 seconds. So call us, 1-800-759-0700. What we're asking you to do is join the 700 Club. We're a lot more than just a TV show. We are reaching out around the world. Through CBN World Reach, we're training local Christians in 15 different nations, regions of the world, to do local television in their own language. Operation Blessing is reaching out to those in disaster-stricken areas, feeding the hungry right here in America, doing good works, tangible things, giving people life-changing surgeries, all in your name when you join the 700 Club. So do it right now. Call us right now, 1-800-759-0700. Well, Scott and Brandy Spires needed to make $3,500 payment, and they promised the bank they'd have the money by the end of the day. There was just one problem. Scott and Brandy had no idea where they were going to get the money.
We had a tough time paying our bills.
We had a teeny one-bedroom apartment and this old junky car.
We only had one couch, one piece of furniture right after we got married.
Like many newlyweds, Scott and Brandy Spires started out with very little. Brandy had just graduated from college and was working at a tutoring company. Scott was finishing his degree and working part-time.
It was a very emotional time. Brandy and I really had to seek the Lord about how we were supposed to get out of this financial situation, which is very tough.
Then Brandy learned the tutoring company she worked for was closing because the owners were leaving the state. Scott suggested they buy the business. It seemed impossible. They had no money for a down payment and thousands of dollars of credit card and student loan debt.
I told Brandy, I said, it's going to be okay because I feel like God has put in my heart that we're supposed to have that business.
So they spoke to the owners, who agreed to sell the tutoring business to the Spires with no down payment. And they agreed the couple would pay them out of the money they brought in the first year. Now the Spires had their own business and a lot of hard work ahead of them.
The first year was financially very rough.
With payroll and other expenses, Scott and Brandy weren't clearing much from the business, but they soon learned a lesson that would turn their finances around.
I remember the first day I learned about tithing. We were sitting down watching 700 Club. I looked at Brandy and I said, I think we need to start giving. We didn't have much to give, so we gave $20.
Even just $20 when you have to borrow money for food sometimes, it seemed silly and unreasonable to give even $20.
If they didn't have money, they gave away their possessions.
There was one time where we needed $3,500 by 5 o'clock.
And God just put on my heart, He said, you gave, you did what you're supposed to do. Everything is going to be okay.
The day the money was due, the bank called Scott.
And so the bank said, what are you going to do? And I said, I will bring in a check before you close. I said, so do you know someone that's going to bring you a check? And I said, no. And I said, but I will bring it in before you close. Before 5 o'clock, I will bring in the check. And they said, okay.
A few hours later, a new student's mother walked in and paid for a tutoring package in full.
She comes in and says, I want to buy 140 lessons up front, where most people buy 8 or 9. It was about 4:30, so we had 30 minutes to get to the bank. We needed $3,500, and she wrote us a $4,000 check.
In just a few years, the Spires tutoring business has grown from 20 students to 70, and from 4 teachers to 10. They bought a house and paid off $40,000 in debt.
Well, we give now, more now than what we made before we got the business. So it's been absolutely amazing about how God has blessed us completely with our personal and business finances.
What an incredible story. Scott and Brandy here, literally living in poverty. And then God is gracious to them because He knows their heart and He knows that they want to give. And even though they don't have money, they say, well, we can give away some of the things we aren't using. And we'll do that, and that will honor the Lord. Then what happens? Well, then they get a business. They're struggling. Anybody who's ever started a business knows your first year is a struggle. You're just trying to make payroll. You're just trying to make your expenses. And Scott gets this idea, God's going to come through. He's going to do it for me. I know I've got this bill due, $3,500. I don't have the money in the bank, but I know it's coming. Here's the promise that he's relying on. It's from Psalm 37, that same song I've talked about. Verse 9, those who wait on the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. It's the ones who wait for him and know that he's going to come through for them. Those are the ones that inherit. The ones that say, well, I've got to hurry God along here, or I've got to help God out with what, God's not running the universe on my time clock, and so I've got to do something different. What would have been the temptation for Scott and Brandy to give up in the middle of this? But no, they waited. They waited on him, and they knew he would be faithful. You can have that same knowledge. All it takes on your part is to say, okay, I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to trust him with my finances. And for whatever reason, that seems to be a harder thing for us to do than we trust him with eternity. We trust him with our heart. We can trust him with our family. But when it gets down to money, well, then we say, well, we got to help God out. Well, yeah, you've got to work hard. You've got to do your part. But then when you wait on the Lord, you'll inherit. And that's what Scott and Brandy learned. Now, if you want to get on the plus side of giving, if you want to say, okay, I'll test God in this. I'll take this adventure in giving and an adventure in faith, and I'll do it. I'll do what Scott and Brandy did and see if God won't do the same thing for me. All you have to do is call the number on the screen, 1-800-759-0700. Just say, yes, I want to join. I want to be a part of everything you're doing around the world. Some of you can say, well, I want to give something significant. So we've got other levels for you other than just 700 Club at $20 a month. There's 700 Club Gold, $40 a month. 1000 Club is $84 a month. That equals $1,000 a year. Then 2500 Club is $209 a month. Founder, $5,000 a year. And then Chairman Circle, $10,000 or more a year. At whatever level God is speaking to you to give, now's the time to do it. Call us, 1-800-759-0700. Let's go to Christy at the phones. Christy?
Thank you so much, Gordon. Okay, so I'm watching the news and I'm thinking to myself, look at all this weather. There are so many uncertainties in life. You never know what the weather may bring. You never know what life may bring. But did you know that there is one thing that is certain? That when we die, we're either going to go to heaven or hell? So you might say, but how do we know it's real? Check this out. There are people, men and women, who've actually been there. They're going to tell us about heaven and what it's like and their escapes from hell. In fact, we have something called Beyond the Grave that's going to rock your mind. Take a look.
What happens after we die?
And I began to rise out of my body up into that room. I suddenly had an overwhelming sense of God's presence.
An incredible journey.
I saw every aspect of our life together.
Who will we see?
And I found myself falling through the air, and I landed in this actual prison cell.
What will we see?
Demons are tormenting people. They had absolutely no mercy.
Hear from those who died.
I was begging, don't let me go to hell.
And return to tell their story.
It started in the center of the room toward the ceiling, and I was immediately drawn to it.
It was beautiful, just pure.
I wanted to know this one who, when I knew without a doubt I was going to hell, came for me.
It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
A powerful tool to share your faith with others. The 700 Club's Life Beyond the Grave. Available now.
You know how I was saying there's a lot of uncertainties? Well, this is one thing I'm certain of, that this DVD, Life Beyond the Grave, will just change your life forever. I promise you. Listen, this is what's really neat. This is our gift to you when you become a 700 Club partner. This is the perfect tool to show people the love, the saving grace of Jesus Christ, because there's people who have literally gone to heaven and gone to hell and come back to say, listen, you need to know who God is. So this is our gift to you. Now, this is something we've never done before, but we're doing it this week, so this is exclusive, but it's really important for you to understand that when you call in right now and you say you want to become a 700 Club partner, but 700 Club Gold, which is $40 a month, we're not just going to give you this, one DVD, we're going to give you 3 so that you can keep one and literally use 2 to minister to your family or your neighbors. Now, if that's not enough, we can do it again. At a 1,000 Club member, we're going to give you 5 DVDs. You keep one, you give 4 away. Listen, we are not not playing. This is the time. We don't know what's going down tomorrow or the next day after this. So this is the day that you've got to get this in your hand. And those people that you've been praying for, this is the answer to the prayer, for them to know who Jesus Christ is. So call in right now. We've got 20 minutes left on this challenge. The phone number is right there. You can always log on to cbn.com. And we've got $125,000 on the challenge. So don't let this moment pass you by. Pick up the phone and call so that we can put this in your hand. Terry?
Well, every year in Thailand, thousands of children are abandoned by their parents or sold into slavery. The 2-year-old in our next story might have been one of them if she hadn't been rescued by CBN's Orphans Promise.
You can probably tell by the smile on her face that 2-year-old Dee Terry is happy to be part of her big new family. She lives here in this children's home in Thailand, sponsored by CBN's Orphans Promise. In the 2.5 years that she's been here at the children's home, little Dee Terry has received good food and the love of children she now calls brothers and sisters. And this is one of her house parents named Jib. He helps to guide and care for her.
I believe that God brought Dee Terry to us. Whenever I look at her, I am reminded of the grace and love of God.
Now, surrounded by her big family, 2-year-old Dee Terry is thriving. She loves to worship and to raise her little hands in praise to the Lord. And thanks to CBN's Orphans Promise, Dee Terry will have a safe place to live for as long as she needs it.
Little Dee Terry knows that we love her and that this is her home now. I want to thank you everyone who has helped us.
Knowing that they're loved, offering security, giving hope into the future, that's what 700 Club members do all around the world. Be a part of that. Make a difference in the world today. You do it by going to your phone right now and calling that toll-free number. It's 1-800-759-0700. Just say, I want to join the 700 Club. There are so many club levels you can join at. I'll let you take a look at that list. You ask God what He wants you to do. There it is, 700 Club General membership. That's 65 cents a day, $20 a month. 700 Club Gold, Christy was just talking about that, $40 a month. We're going to send you 3 of the special video DVDs that we've got for you, Life Beyond the Grave. You're going to want to get that. Look at those club levels. And then when you call, will you do one more thing? Will you say, I want to give and I want to do it using Pledge Express? It's electronic monthly giving, means the bank does all the work, but it saves us a lot of just administrative costs on things. And our way of saying thank you to you for doing that is to send you Power for Life teachings. You're going to get one of these every month and you're going to love them. They'll make a difference in your life, even as you're touching someone else's. So please call now. You can also log on to cbn.com. Gordon?
Well, more than 30% of the people in Peru live below the poverty line. Recently, we met a single mother named Erica who supported her family on $1 a day.
Erica Quispy's hands move with lightning speed as she assembles tiny cardboard tabs and string. If she can put together 1,000 of these tiny price tags in one day, she'll earn $1. This job, done on her bed at home, together with other small cleaning and laundry jobs, provides Erica with enough money to get by. But buying food wasn't her greatest need. She's been living in this broken-down shack with her 2 children for the past year since her husband abandoned her.
My house was so small. I don't have a kitchen. The bed took up half of the house.
And with a little bit of money she has saved, she makes temporary repairs to her home.
I had to say, this week I'm going to buy the plastic. Sometimes I wouldn't give the children a glass of milk or get diapers so I could afford the plastic. It was very sad not to give my sons a better place to live.
One morning, Erica was outside doing laundry when Operation Blessing came to give her some good news. Because she had one of the worst houses in the entire community, we offered to build her another one.
I asked, what? How much do I have to pay? They just keep saying they'll give me a house.
A few days later, Operation Blessing arrived with building materials and volunteers, and in a single day they were able to build this new home for Erica and her children.
It was the most exciting day of my life. That night we slept and it was so warm and no cold air got in. The next day it rained and we did not get wet. No more. It is thrilling.
But we knew Erica needed something more to increase her income as a single mom. So we gave her this cart where she can cook food to sell to her neighbors right in front of her home. Tears of joy fell from her eyes as she realized what the cart would mean to her children.
Thank you. You have given me something that will change my life.
Then, as our day with Erica ended, we had a chance to introduce her to the gospel, and she prayed to become a Christian.
Things will be better for me and my sons. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're a member of the 700 Club, you're part of bringing that life-changing experience to Erica. Can you imagine being a single mother in Peru? And now what do? You've got to watch over your children, but you've got to earn money at the same time. And you try your best, and still you can't seem to ever get out of that kind of poverty. Well, when people care, when people want to make a difference, we don't give handouts, we give hands up. We show them there's a better way. We can come in and help you and know there's no strings attached, you don't have to worry. And then we want to introduce you to why we do this. You know, the commandment to love one another. And you can do that too. You can know the same thing that we know. Now, if you want to be part of everything we're doing, if you want to be a part of doing things just like what you just saw with Erica, all you have to do is join the 700 Club. A portion of every gift goes into the work of Operation Blessing to bring help to people around the world. Another portion goes into CBN World Reach to preach the gospel around the world. And you get to be a part of it by just saying, yes, I'll join the 700 Club. How much is it? It's just $20 a month, 65 cents a day, and you join with tens of thousands of people that want to make a difference in the world. When you join, we've got something special for you, and I really want you to have this. Life Beyond the Grave. These are real people who've had real experiences where they've gone to heaven and they've also gone to hell, all from near-death experiences, and God's brought them back to life, and we've gone and recorded their stories, and you can see them for yourself. These are real people looking into the camera and saying, this is what I saw, and I'm an eyewitness to it. We want you to have it. Call us, 1-800-759-0700. When you join at 700 Club Gold, we want to give you not just one, we want to give you 3, so you have 2 left over to share with others. This will convince people that there are consequences. There is an eternity. There is a heaven. There is a hell. And we want you to have it so you can share it with others, where you can be an agent of change, where you can introduce people to, yeah, there's a good news out there. You don't have to be afraid of hell. You can be confident that you'll be with Jesus for all eternity. Let's go over to Wendy at the phones.
Thanks, Gordon. Well, the Bible says we can't even imagine how incredible, how awesome heaven is going to be. Well, when you join the 700 Club, we're going to send you a free copy of the new DVD, Life Beyond the Grave. You'll hear amazing stories from people like this young little boy who died, went to heaven, and met family members he didn't even know he had. Take a look.
Is there a heaven?
When I was in the throne room of God to start with, so I got to see what that looked like. I was upset because I didn't know what was happening. What God did is He used people or things that I liked to calm me down. From there on, I felt better.
And one day we're traveling together, and he looks up at me and, Dad, you used to have a grandpa named Pop, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. He's really nice. Really? Yeah, you used to play with him as a kid and work with him on the farm and shoot stuff with him. And I'm like, yeah, how do you know that? Well, he told me.
A figure came up, and he was Pop. He asked me, are you Todd's son? I said yes. He said that he was his grandpa.
Isn't that just amazing? Well, God's heart is that we would all be in heaven with Him. But in this life, we're given a choice where we're going to spend eternity, in heaven or hell. And contrary to popular belief, there are not numerous ways to heaven. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father except by me. In Life Beyond the Grave, these people have been there. They've been to heaven, and they've been to hell, and they've come back to say, choose Jesus Christ, choose life, choose heaven. We believe this is the perfect witnessing tool for everyone in your family, for your neighbors, for people, even the hardest hearts, people who don't even believe in heaven or hell. They'll be believers, believe me. This is what you need. We want you to have it. It's our free gift to you when you call right now and join the 700 Club. Just $20 a month, 65 cents a day. You can't beat that. 1-800-759-0700. And guess what? We believe so strongly that this is going to change lives and populate heaven. We want you to have 3 copies when you join the 700 Club at the gold level, which is only $40 a month. We're going to send you 3 of these, 1 for you, 2 for friends or loved ones. And then you're saying, that's just not enough. I've got too many people on my list that I've been praying for. Well, we've got good news. When you join at the 1,000 Club level, which is just $84 a month, I mean, think of all the things that you spend $84 on every month. You know, it seems like a lot, but really it's not. It's a drop in the bucket. When you think about, can you put a price on eternity? Can you put a price on where your loved ones are going to spend the rest of their, of forever? You know, forever is a long time. We want you to have life beyond the grave. Please give us a call right now, or you can log on to cbn.com. It's another great way to give. And I'm going to throw it back over to Gordon.
All right, for years, Richard Mike worked toward his next promotion, but it was always just out of reach until he took some advice from his wife.
Jana and Rick Mike love spending the day with their boys, Kenny and Jason, at the lake near their South Carolina home. Rick works at the local power company. Jana is a full-time mom. Early in their marriage, they didn't take tithing seriously.
We gave what was left over, whatever we thought we could afford.
But as they read what the Bible had to say, they knew they had to start giving away 10% of their income.
That's when we decided it was time to start giving God what was God's.
Rick was hoping for a promotion at work that was delayed because of the economy. It affected the family's finances.
It just seemed like we were spinning our wheels all the time, and something that I had been thinking about, let's just go ahead and increase 1% would be great. That would just, you know, we could do that and we probably wouldn't even miss that.
At the same time, I'm feeling in my heart, 1%, maybe we could do that.
So the family increased their giving to 11%. A week later, they got a notice that their mortgage payment had been decreased. Then the next week, Rick got good news at work.
One day, my boss calls me into his office and says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I'm thinking, I hope this is good. And he sits me down and he slides a piece of paper across and he says, "Hey, congratulations, you've been promoted." And I'm thinking, where'd that come from? Just kind of out of the blue.
So it was just one thing after another, boom, boom, boom. It was just proof that God was up there smiling down on us, saying thanks for being obedient.
Jana and Rick have since increased their giving even more. But it was that first 1% increase that taught them about God's faithfulness.
I can sleep at night and not have to just lay awake thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Have faith in God to lead us through whatever it is, even the small things.
He is good and he wants to do good things for us. And for him to prove it like that, it's just amazing to me. And he's so good and so wonderful.
Richard took some good advice from Jana. The Bible calls it tithes and offerings. Offerings, when you do that, then blessings really start to flow. And for them, it was just, let's see about 11%. And Richard said, well, okay, I think we can do that. Then this promise kicked in for him. It's Deuteronomy 28. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you because you obey the voice of the Lord your God. When we are obedient and say, okay, we'll give, then blessings, they literally overtake you. And you have so much that you have plenty left over to share with others. If you want to get on the plus side of giving, give us a call, 1-800-759-0700. We've got 6 minutes and 23 seconds left in a $125,000 challenge. We need to stop that clock and double it because some existing CBN partners say $125,000 is not enough. They want to take it to $250,000. And we get to the end of the hour, and let's pray. Lord, we just ask for blessing for this. We ask for doubling, we ask for tripling, and we know your word over the partners who made it possible to issue this challenge will be true. And that word is that you will open the windows of heaven and pour out blessings they cannot contain. For those watching right now, just speak to them, encourage them. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen. $250,000, we've got 18 minutes and 27 seconds to go. So we need to hear from you. Call us 1-800-759-0700, or you can log on to cbn.com. When you give through the internet, you automatically sign up for Pledge Express. That's electronic monthly giving. There's no checks, no stamps, nothing to mail in. We've saved so much on the processing we can send as our gift back to you. Power for Life, monthly teaching CDs, all available when you join Pledge Express. So either ask for it on the phone or log on to cbn.com. Terry?
Well, we hear a lot about bullying here in American schools, and it's not much different in other countries. But we want to show you a success story from Cambodia. Here's how one neighborhood bully became a model child just by watching TV.
All of the kids near the school love to play a game called Jackstones. That is until 11-year-old Che loses her temper. When that happens, everyone suffers.
I really did not like the other kids, even when they were nice to me. They always made me mad, so I fought with them.
Che's mother also struggled with the little girl at home.
She was a difficult child. If I asked her to help me, she would do the exact opposite. I did not know what to do.
Then one day, Che's mother encouraged her daughter to watch a program on television, CBN's Super Kids Club.
Super Kids Club began to teach me that it is important to listen to my parents and be kind to my friends.
After watching only a few times, Che prayed with the hosts and asked Jesus to come and live in her heart.
When I prayed, I felt different. I then started praying for my family every day.
Che went to church in her village, and soon her family started coming with her.
I'm so happy about the changes I've seen in my daughter. She's gentle now and kind. And I don't need to ask her to help around the house. She just does it on her own.
I have many good friends now, and we have lots of fun. I don't get angry with them anymore because I have Jesus in my heart.
Now every weekend, Che and her new friends enjoy watching CBN's Super Kids Club together.
God changed me, and I want all my friends to know Jesus too. Thank you, CBN, for Super Kids Club.
Bringing the message of the love of Jesus, bringing the message of what he wants to do in our hearts and lives to children around the world is a part of what we do here. I love Che's story because you can see it in her face, can't you? I mean, there is just a light in her eyes when she comes to know Jesus. And her life has changed. Her life, her family's life, her village's life, all because they're watching programming that you make possible. So we want to say thank you to you. If you're not a 700 Club member, this is the time to go to your phone and call. Our number is toll free. It's so simple, 1-800-759-0700. Just say, I want to join the 700 Club. And listen, if you're already a 700 Club member, look at the list of opportunities we have for giving. Would you consider going up to 700 Club Gold? That's a gift of $40 or more a month. We have 1,000 Club level, $84 a month. Our 2,500 Club members join us at $209 a month. And there's our Founders Club level. That's $417 a month, $5,000 a year. We even have a group called the Chairman's Circle. They give gifts of $10,000 or more a year. What you give is not what matters. That you give is what matters. Ask God what he'd have you to do. And when you give, we want to send you Life Beyond the Grave. You are going to love this. It's really going to impact your heart and life. When you join the Gold Club level, we'll send you 3 of them, so you'll have 2 extras to share with family and friends. If you're going from the Gold Club level up to the 1,000 Club, we'll send you 5 of these, 1 for you and 4 for family and friends. But call right now. We're in the middle of a big challenge, $250,000 with limited time, so we really need to hear from you now. Gordon?
In one Ukrainian orphanage, the children spent more time in the infirmary than they did in the classroom. So Operation Blessing found a way to make sure they got healthy and stayed that way.
8-year-old Sveta and 120 other children live in this orphanage in Ukraine. The children were often sick because they had no indoor bathroom.
I used to run outside to the toilet even in freezing weather. They weren't clean. I got sick all the time and spent a lot of time in the infirmary.
Viktor Fedorovich, the director of the school, wanted to build indoor bathrooms but couldn't.
Every year I tried to find money to install toilets, but we just couldn't afford it.
Then one day, Operation Blessing workers visited Sveta's school to talk to them about Jesus and the Bible.
I like that they talked about God, that He loves us, listens to our prayers, and answers them. I began to pray God that we would get indoor toilets at our school, and the teachers and children wouldn't get sick anymore.
Soon, Operation Blessing installed bathrooms and shower rooms at the school.
Our children are healthy now, and all of us are very happy. We thank you for such a wonderful present.
I don't get sick now and study well. I'm happy. I'm grateful to you. Thank you.
And thank you. If you're a member of the 700 Club, you're part of bringing blessing to children around the world. If you're a member of the 700 Club, you're also making it possible to preach the gospel around the world in their own language. We have one of the top-rated children's shows in the Ukraine, all done in our studios right there in Kiev. And you make it possible when you join the 700 Club. If you want to join with us, call us 1-800-759-0700. Let's go to Christy at the phone.
Thank you so much, Gordon. You know, I keep seeing these stories of these little kids, and I was just reminded when I was little, about 5 years old, that's when I gave my heart to Jesus Christ after watching a film about a man who went to hell. Listen, I'm going to be real honest. I was so scared. That film scared the heebie-jeebies out of me that literally I went to my mother and said, I want to make sure that I go to heaven when I die. Well, listen, the bottom line is I recognized that there's a heaven and hell at that young age. Do you realize that when we die, there's one of two places that we'll go? Listen, you can either spend eternity with God in heaven, or like this one young lady you're about to see named Tamara, who died and went to hell. Take a look.
Is there life beyond the grave? Is there a hell?
All of a sudden, I felt myself, my soul, leave my body, and I instantly began falling and falling. And at that moment, I knew I was no longer in control of my destiny. And I ended up in a place that was complete torment. And my body was burning. I no longer was lonely. I was no longer depressed. I became depression. I became loneliness. I became a tormented being of fear.
I tell you what, for everybody who's saying that hell isn't real, I don't want to find out. And I'm sure you don't want to find out either. Listen, that's why we put this DVD together. It's called Life Beyond the Grave. These are real accounts, real stories, real experiences of people who literally died and went to either heaven or went to hell and came back to tell their story, just for us to say, listen, it's time for us to give our lives to Jesus Christ. So listen, this is the greatest teaching tool that's out there. We want to put this in your hands when you become a 700 Club partner. For just 65 cents a day, $20 a month, this is yours. But check it out. Maybe you're already a partner and you want to become a 700 Club Gold to take it to the next level. We're going to give you 3 of these DVDs. You keep one, you're going to give 2 away to that neighbor or your friend or family member that you've been praying for. And if that's not enough, we're going to take it another notch. 1,000 Club member, we're going to give you 5 of these. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. We've never done this before, but the reason why we're doing it now is because this is real. We never know what tomorrow brings, and this is our opportunity to really bring Jesus Christ into people's hearts. So call in right now. We need you. We've got 9 minutes and 30 seconds left on this challenge. We have a $250,000 challenge, which means that every dollar is doubled. This, I tell you what, if there's a little tap on your shoulder and you say, should I call, should I not? Should I wait for somebody else? Really, don't let one more minute pass you by. Please, pick up the phone right now, because this is a life or death decision. Call right now. Gordon?
All right, we've got 9 minutes and 4 seconds left in a $250,000 challenge, and we get the red number up. We've got 64,000 to go. We need to hear from you. We're going to take the red number down because Laredo, Texas is saying, I want to join. I want to be a part of everything you're doing. $5,000. They're joining at the founder level. We invite you to join. We've got a lot of different levels. There's basic 700 Club membership is $20 a month, and there's 700 Club Gold, $40 or more a month. When you join at that level, we'll send you 3 DVDs of Life Beyond the Grave, where you can see these eyewitness accounts of people that have been to heaven, people that have had near-death experiences, and they went to hell and they came back to tell us. There's also 1,000 Club, and that's $1,000 a year. That equals $84 a month. When you join at that level, we'll send you 5 DVDs, 1 for you to keep and 4 to share with others. You can go to all the neighbors across the street, next door, behind you, and say, here, I want you to have this, and take a look at it and see if you still have doubts. Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Is there life after death? Is there life beyond the grave? And it'll convince you. These are eyewitnesses that say, I've been there, and they've had experiences that are really hard to explain, where they've met relatives that they didn't know about, and they've come back and have told the story of who they met when they were in heaven. If you want to, call us, 1-800-759-0700. Well, you might think it's hard to survive on a retired teacher's income, but Ken and Barbara do more than just survive. They not only live in their dream house, they own it, free and clear.
The view of the Cascade Mountains from Ed and Barbara Query's front porch is breathtaking. But having a home in the mountains was at one time just a dream for these 2 retired school teachers and avid snow skiers. They say how it happened is no secret.
I've been asked that question riding up the chairlift. How can you afford to live up here? How did this happen? And I'd say, God provides, and all I can tell you is that God is real.
You see, the couple has learned over the years to trust God for their needs and dreams. For Barbara, it began after her first marriage ended. She was an art teacher and raising 2 young children on her own.
And I told the kids, I said, we are going to live by faith. And so because of that, that means I'm going to be giving a certain percentage back to God.
Barbara also sold her art on the side. As she gave, she got more jobs and more money.
I started working as a mural artist, and then more jobs came through.
Ed was a shop teacher. He learned about tithing when he was a young boy. So when the couple married, they knew that in order to prosper, they had to make giving a top priority.
It says in Deuteronomy 8:18, He gives you the power to gain wealth.
The couple has been giving to CBN for years. Ed's excited about CBN's Living Water program.
Seeing that well drilled and seeing the water come out, that means something to me.
Even in retirement, the Queries continue to give, which is one reason they believe God has been blessing them. Barbara's artwork continues to increase in value, and they own their mountain dream home free and clear.
I'm amazed still every day. It's been 20 years and I'm still amazed that we're living here. It's important to live a life of giving because you cannot outgive God. And I would challenge anybody to trust Him.
Live a life of giving and see what can happen to you. If you want to start a life of giving, call us, 1-800-759-0700. Just say, yes, I want to join the 700 Club. We're in a $250,000 challenge. That red number on the screen is $38,000 to go to match it. We've just got 5 minutes and 3 seconds left on this challenge clock, left in the hour. We need to hear from you. So call us right now, 1-800-759-0700. Terry?
In one Guatemalan village, most children spend their afternoons playing football. But Alicia's 3 children stay home and help their mother get ready for another day of work.
Daniel and his younger brother and sister have become experts at peeling and slicing plankton, a type of banana. They do it to help their mom with her small business. Alicia is a single mom and has been raising the children alone for the past 8 years. She sells the fried bananas at the bus terminal. That income barely covers their living expenses. Daniel is the oldest. He watches the kids at home for his mom while she's at work.
Sometimes my friends ask me to play football, but I told them I couldn't because I was afraid to leave the little ones alone.
Then disaster struck. A mudslide collapsed one of the walls at Alicia's house.
Right after we got a lot of rain, one wall got really wet. It literally melted and fell down on the beds.
Operation Blessing quickly responded to the crisis and hired a local builder to repair the damaged wall. For the first time in a long time, Alicia and the kids are feeling more secure. Then we gave Alicia a grant to help her expand her small business. That means she'll have to spend less time at the bus terminal and will have more time to spend with her children.
I do not have anything to give to thank you, but I know God never forgets us.
Helping families, giving children the ability to be children as God created them to be, and parents the freedom to raise their children, being able to give them what they need. This is not a handout, it's a hand up, and we are doing it around the world to families like this. It's happening because people like you are saying, I'm willing to step up and make a difference. And that's what we're asking you to do right now in the middle of this challenge, to step up, go to your phone, call 1-800-759-0700, say, I want to join the 700 Club. And when you do, will you do it using something we call Pledge Express? It means your bank does all the work, it's all done electronically. You don't have to remember to mail anything, you don't have to have stamps or envelopes on hand. It's done for you, but it saves us a lot of processing costs so that we're able to send you, as a thank you, Power for Life teachings. We'll send you one of these every month, and we believe it'll be a blessing to you. And by the way, you can also join the 700 Club by logging on to cbn.com. Gord?
Well, in parts of China, clean drinking water is rare. And in one village, people walk for hours every day just to find it.
15-year-old Ainu loves spending time with her little sister, Aiking. But lately, the two haven't been able to do much together. Ainu's mom explains why.
My village has a shortage of water. Usually, we don't even have enough for cooking.
So while her mom manages the family farm, Ainu makes daily trips to fetch water. The trek is too long for her sister to take. Ainu is gone for hours after school and usually comes home exhausted with just 2 buckets of murky water. This helps with the cattle and the farm, but there's rarely anything left to drink, at home or at school. Most of Ainu's classmates don't want to touch the water anyway.
We prefer to just go thirsty because the water from up in the mountains is dirty. We don't like it. I eat boiled potatoes every day for lunch. It always makes me really thirsty and leaves me with a really dry mouth for the rest of the afternoon. I can't concentrate on my studies, and I end up having no energy later on in the day. I really worry about Ainu, but there hasn't been anything I could do for her.
Then CBN came to Ainu's school to take care of the students' water shortage. We dug a water well, built a tank for storage, and provided the kids with a sink and water fountain. The school principal is grateful.
No one ever helped us before CBN came to our school.
My classmates and I will never have to worry about water again, and I will never go thirsty after lunch or any time.
Thanks to the well CBN provided, Ainu has plenty of water for lunch, for recess, even for her walks home. And best of all, she doesn't have to spend her entire afternoon going to the watering hole anymore. She still helps her mother after school and plays with her little sister. But now she also has time to just enjoy being the teenage girl she is.
Thank you so much, CBN.
And thank you. If you're a member of the 700 Club, you're part of that blessing. We're counting down to victory. We're almost there. If we can get the red number up, we still have 1,000 to go. We're going to count everything that's on the phones against that, and I'll just declare victory. It was 250,000 on the challenge, 240. There we go. We just went over 252. Here's a word for you from Psalms 136. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his loving kindness is everlasting. God bless. We'll see you again.
Our world moves at an incredible pace. People everywhere rushing to their destinations. But there's a destiny that awaits each one of us. And all of us will face life's ultimate question. Where will I spend eternity?
In his new DVD, Life Beyond the Grave, Pat Robertson introduces you to real people with remarkable stories of heaven and riveting accounts of hell. You'll learn what the Bible has to say about life after death.
The Bible tells us that eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor mind conceived what God has prepared for those who love him.
Life Beyond the Grave will build your faith as God's promises come alive, prepare you to face your eternity, and provide you with a powerful witnessing tool to share with your loved ones.
I want you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your destiny is sealed forever in heaven.